and welcome to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection. I'm your co-host, Jimmy Qualls, and with me, as always, my co-host, Tate Mathews. Tate, we're in the middle of the spring action coming to a close. Spring fling's just around the corner for all our teams. AAA baseball right now is heating up. There's been a lot of things happen. The tournament is at Summit High School. Over this past weekend, we had a lot of games played there, and it looks like right now Centennial versus Indy. Indy beat Centennial 3-2. Tommy Morin right now, one of the hot names at WCS Baseball.
Yeah, he is. Heck of a player. I saw you retweeted it. The article came out. The Tennessean ranked the top 10 pitchers in the mid-state. He was one of them. Obviously, McElwain was one too. But yeah, anytime he's on the mound, Independence has a chance to win.
Tommy Morin actually for Independence right now has committed and going to sign and play with Memphis. He was ranked number 10 in the state as the best top 10 pitchers. McElwain, as a freshman, was ranked number 1 pitcher in the state.
And as he's doing in the tournament, he's showing why. He's amazing, and only a freshman.
Brentwood also played Ravenwood in the Battle of the Woods there. Ravenwood wins that matchup 3-1. Franklin versus Dixon County. Franklin wins 8-1. This is all in the first round. I don't think we saw any surprises outside the fact that I did pick Centennial. You picked Indy. However, you picked Brentwood. I picked Ravenwood. Right. So we scratched the surface there. No blood. Second round, Brentwood eliminates Dixon County 10-0. I don't think there's any surprises there for us on that. Ravenwood beats Franklin 14-3. To me, that's a little bit of a mini upset.
Yeah, and if nothing else, the margin by which they beat them by, that's impressive. But we talked about it last week. This Ravenwood team, you know, they've been to the past 2 state tournaments. They're used to playing in tournament play. Coach Craig's used to coaching in the tournament, and so that was one thing we talked about is the regular season probably wasn't what they wanted, but don't be surprised if Ravenwood makes a little run here in the tournament. That's impressive, 14-3.
Well, Summit came in. They had a big pitchers duel there. Hunter Dupree. Now, you remember the name Hunter Dupree from what? Independence football run, linebacker starts in the back. He started at pitcher.
I think he was Clinic Blue Cross Bowl defensive MVP.
He actually was.
I saved myself.
Started on the mound there. Chris McElwain came out. Pitchers duel. Summit wins it 1-0.
That's pretty good.
In the elimination round right now, coming up, we'll have more about this next week. Independence plays Brentwood, and this is once again in the elimination round. Loser goes home in this double elimination setup. Centennial versus Franklin, Battle of Franklin there. Summit versus Ravenwood will be playing in the winner's bracket, so the loser of that will drop down into the loser's bracket. Indy versus Brentwood, what do you think?
Well, I think you look at the scores that Indy's had since this tournament's come around. I mean, they're playing really well. Brentwood obviously came back and defeated Dixon County, but I would have to go with Independence right now. They're playing really good baseball. Obviously, they've got 2 pitchers that anytime they're on the mound, they got a chance to win. So I like the Eagles.
It's a pretty tough one right here. I think he'll come back. Brentwood will throw Corey Bell, probably. Elimination round, have to get in. I'm going to pick I'm going to pick Brentwood over Independence in this one. Centennial versus Franklin, a little Battle of Franklin action here. In the elimination round, winner goes on. Who you have?
I'm going to go with Franklin. I think they got 14-3. I know they didn't score many runs, but they're a team that when the bats are hot, they can score a lot of runs. I think they get that back. Franklin wins.
Logan Jarvis, Franklin Rebels right now need to get themselves regrouped after that loss. Maybe mentally they'll be prepared to get into this. Rob Boffman's team, though, nobody to sleep on. This is a tough one to call. I'm probably going to give the slight edge, very close, maybe even in extras, to the Franklin Rebels right there.
Plus, Deion Sanders is in Greenville, South Carolina right now at Furman. So if he was with Centennial, maybe I'd pick differently.
Speaking of Deion Sanders, he also hit 2 home runs over the weekend. I mean, he's playing really well, batting in 300+ right now. Congratulations to primetime Deion Sanders, former baseball WILLCO winner of the year last year. Great player. Championship game will also be Wednesday and Thursday if needed. We'll be interested to see if that extra game is needed on Thursday. Page plays Spring Hill in the elimination game in the AA side of things to see what happens there. I think Page has had a really good year for Coach Roden, how they've, there's been a lot of changes there, a lot of turnover, and those guys are looking for a little bit of stability. I believe he brings that. I've seen them in their strength and conditioning program down there with their assistant coach. Field looks good. There seems to be a difference down at Page right now.
Oh, yeah, and they ended up second in the region. They were tied district record-wise with Spring Hill, but they ended up, because of the tiebreaker, they finished second to CPA. And now Spring Hill, until last year, they had been to 5 state tournaments in a row. Spring Hill under Paul Lamb has been a great program. I think I like everything about Coach Roten. I think he's done a great job. He's just 1 year in. He has got that program on track, and it will continue to rise. So again, second place overall in the regular season in that district, that's a heck of an accomplishment, because Spring Hill on any given day can beat anybody in the state.
Absolutely. District 11 AAA softball, Centennial gets its first district win in great fashion. They go into the elimination game, or it's actually a play-in game to even get in the tournament to play. Last 2 places with Centennial and Franklin. They come in there, they have not won a district game all year long, get the big win. And then what they have to do when they get the win, they can't even celebrate. They have to pack their stuff up, drive to the north end of the county to play Brentwood in the actual opening round, first round, after losing 15-0. Now, they got themselves in the tournament, double elimination. Congratulations to the Centennial program. Kaylin Hannon there, the UT signee, getting in and getting their first district win.
Yeah, and that's one of those stories you like to see. Could have very easily, not even shown up for that playing game. It was a long season, tough season, so I think that's great. She kept her girls playing the whole way through to get your first district win. In the playing game, that shows that they didn't give up. And I think that's a good story. That's something to build on for next year.
Independence sends Summit into the losers bracket in that first round loss there, 11-2, winning that game. Second round, Dixon beat Independence 5-0, which is kind of interesting because Dixon County, being as strong as they are, usually puts up a lot of runs. This one's a little closer, 5-0. Brentwood beats Ravenwood 5-3. Tournament will be at Ravenwood the remainder of the way at 4:30 and 6:30 each night. Championships will be on Thursday. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Page will play Marshall County in the second round this week after Marshall County beat CPA.
Yeah, you're right. 5-0 Dixon County over Independence. That's playing it close, but it's just as long as Brooklyn Lee's on the mound for Dixon County, I think everybody else is playing for second. But like we talked about, if they can just get into that second place, move on to the region, then you've got a chance to keep on advancing. So they're all playing for second. That Brentwood Ravenwood, it just goes to show every time they play, it's close, and it just keeps going back and forth. They're very, very close, and I think Independence is right there. I think Brentwood, Ravenwood, Independence, just depending on the day, it could be any one of those 3 moving on in the second place.
District 11 AAA soccer tournament also set to begin this week. A lot of action going on. Obviously, Franklin Rebels get the bye. They win the district outright. Number 2 seed Independence versus number 7 Summit in the opening round. That could be costly because Coach Snyder right there lost a game at Dixon the other night. It was called at half or right before halftime due to inclement weather, but it was further enough along that the game had to be called and counted. Dixon, that gives them their first win that mixes up the remainder of the seedings, which Summit probably could have got 6 and maybe avoided. Independence has been playing really good soccer this year, so it'd be interesting to see how that opening round goes. Number 3 Ravenwood versus number 6 Dixon County. Number 4 Brentwood versus number 5 Centennial, and Franklin gets the Brentwood Centennial winner later on. District championship match will be on Thursday, May the 12th at Ravenwood. Who do you think the favorite is here? Do you think Franklin continues to roll?
Yeah, Franklin. But Independence, Brentwood, Ravenwood, Centennial, they're all right there together. So it'll be fun to watch. It was actually pretty neat. Independence got the number 2 seed, but they tied with Ravenwood. They tied last week 3-3 on Thursday night. So that put them into a tie for second place. They had the same amount of goals scored in district play at 11. They had the same amount of goals given up at district play at 4. They had the same district record, so it ended up coming down to a coin toss. Independence won, so they were second place. That's how close second place is between Independence and Ravenwood. That's pretty close.
The old favorite coin flip. I happen to be 0-3 in those. I don't care too much for that, but it's a 50-50 chance.
They should have had you there to flip the coin.
No, they don't want me. I'm the bad
like a
luck.
WILLCO coin. That'd be good.
Well, okay. All right. Tennis has ended up. Now, this we're going to name the all-district team here. This could be, if you put this team together and had them on one team, they could probably beat anybody, maybe in the country. I don't
Dream
know.
team.
But girls, Coach of the Year, Robbie McCammon of Ravenwood High School. Boys Coach of the Year, Paul Gilbert. Girls Player of the Year, Summer Henry. That's no surprises there. Brentwood High School standout, looking to repeat her championship run. Boys Player of the Year, Dylan Hankins. All-district team. 2 votes came from each coaches. In no particular order here, the girls from Franklin High School, Uni Peterson from Independence High School, who's a WILLCO finalist, Krevich, McGrath, Blackmore, and Jones. On the boys' side,
You got Herring from Ravenwood, McCabe from Franklin, Rogers, Brentwood High, Brooks, Independence, and Pradeep, CHS. Centennial.
And that's a stout group of
like
tennis
it.
players.
I like it a lot.
Look forward to seeing how that plays out at the Spring Fling for our tennis teams. Now, last 2 weeks, last 2 shows that we have talked about the WILLCOs, talked about the each section, the fall, the winter. Now we're on the spring section and the final section of the WILLCOs. And here are your 3 finalists from each of the categories. Girls tennis, Summer Henry, Brentwood High School. Girls tennis, Natalie Jones of Ravenwood. Girls tennis, Alexis Peterson of Independence. Those are 3 stout names. Anyone want to stick out to you? Who do you think is going to win that category?
I think you got to go with Summer Henry, don't you?
You would think so. You would think so. Now, let me throw this little wrinkle into you. Now,
But, they can cancel each other out.
Let me throw this little wrinkle into you. Alexa Peterson and her partner in the team matchups beat Summer Henry earlier. That's their only loss of the year. So it throws a little wrinkle of play in here, so I don't know. Boys tennis, Isaiah Polk Page looking to get back to the state championship match where he lost last year and had runner-up. Stephen Antic from Ravenwood and Sam Fisher of Brentwood.
I'm gonna go with Polk. I'm going for the small school on that one.
I think so too. He's got a chance to go back to the state championship match, win that one. Hopefully he gets his first ever state championship there for Isaiah Polk. Girls track, these are some names that we've heard before. Addie Coggins, Independent. She's going to be running for Alabama come next fall. Gigi Maddox of Page and Amber Tanner of Ravenwood, who's going to be running for Georgia next fall.
Addie Coggins.
You're going Addie Coggins in girls track.
But that's a tough one. They're all tough.
They are good. Addie Coggins probably has the edge. I think we talked to her in cross country. Amber Tanner is an absolute monster when it comes to, in a good way, when it comes to track and field. She does multiple events and has set multiple school records. If she can stay healthy, she has a chance to win several state championships at Ravenwood High School. Boys track, Jonathan Helton from Centennial, Carter Sorensen from Ravenwood, and Pierre Watkins. He is the wide receiver, point guard, and also a very fast leg in the 4x4 for Independence.
Hey, I'm not just kidding. I mean, what a great job, and at some point you got to cap it. But I think maybe there ought to be a multi-sport athlete of the year category next year for both boys and girls. Because I mean, you can't argue with that male athlete of the year, which I know we're going to get to. But man, you want to talk about a guy who does it all. That guy's Mr. Do Everything, and I mean he's good at all of them. So you're right. I'm a sentimental favorite. I got to go with Pierre, man.
And the best thing about him is that he is a great high-character kid. Never hear him complain. I have a sentimental favorite myself on here. Jonathan Helton always shows up at game days. One of those big kids, and even when he's not participating for football, he's Mr. Captain CU.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a great kid. So I wish him all the best of luck. See what happens there. Boys soccer, Ethan Hester from Page, Tevin Henry from Centennial, and Jake Hill from Ravenwood.
I'm going to go with Hester.
You can go with Hester. Tevin Henry from Centennial probably, I think, may possibly have the edge here. It's a category I can't say that I know a whole lot about as far as the stats go, but it seems to me that Tevin's name sticks out more than the rest of me. Baseball, this is a good category right here. We've got some stout people. Will Dalton from Summit, Tyler Baskins from Page, Logan Jarvis from Franklin. If we had 2 or 3 more seats in the place, you could keep on going, but unfortunately, like you said, we had a cap. I think it's a clear-cut favorite that Will Dalton from Summit.
He's the best player and the leader on the best team. I think you got to go with Will Dalton.
Now, Logan Jarvis, you got an argument there.
Right. I know.
But when you look at best team, one of the captains of the best team, that's Will Dalton's role.
That's got to count for something.
And he's getting some looks right now. The word on the street about him, his name his stock has gone up here in the last little bit.
That's right. And Kirby will tell you he's the leader of the team. He's almost like another coach.
Softball, Kaylin Hannon, the UT signee from Centennial, Taylor Johnson, Independence, Jenna Johnson, Page. What do you think?
Kaylin Hannon.
Now, here's an interesting note. They haven't won a game but one. Jenna Johnson right now has got a hot name. She is a freshman at Page, is making good plays for them. Number 2 seed, Page softball team. Be interesting to see that. I believe Kaylin obviously probably will have the edge. Who do we have in teams of the years, coaches of the years?
Team of the year, you got, this is a tough one, Ravenwood, 6A state champions. Independence, 5A state champions, obviously football. Undefeated, the only 15-0 team in the state. And then Brentwood volleyball. Coach Campbell's, I don't know, 28th state championship. I think it was 11th. 11th state championship.
Third in a row.
Won like, what, 40 games?
You know, it's unfortunate. I kind of created this beast, but when you get a team of the year, you hate to crown one because you could also put Brentwood cross country in there, ranked in the country. You could put their golf team in there. You know, Summit baseball could be put in there. Independence basketball could be put in there. There's a lot of teams that probably could be put in there. But really, when you see these 3 resumes for these teams, it doesn't get any better.
No.
And then when you look at these 3 resumes, you have to pick one out of that bunch. To me, it's hard to say. I mean, Brentwood winning 11th, her 3rd in a row. Ravenwood taking down Goliath. But to me, Independence is standing on a hill by itself right now in this group.
I agree. You look at what they did, 15-0. It wasn't even close. I think the closest game they had all year was the Smyrna game, 21-7. And you got to remember, because we're so far removed from it now, Andrew Bunch goes down, Swayze comes in, they never miss a beat. The only a 15-0 football team in the state, the only undefeated state championship team in Williamson County history, I think you got to go with Independence.
Ranked number 1 by Max Preps.
That's right.
I mean, so
and some people think they might have been the best team in the state. Have a play, +1 like we talked about. Let NBA and Ravenwood play, and BA and Independence play. Some people think Independence would have won that. So, again, you can't go wrong with any of them, but I think Independence is the favorite.
And then obviously to piggyback off that, coaches of the year.
Coaches of the year, same group. Will Hester of Ravenwood High School, Independence. Head football coach Scott Blade, and then obviously Barbara Campbell of Brentwood. Again,
clean sweep for the Eagles.
I think you got to go with Blade.
Clean sweep for the Eagles. Female athlete of the year, Garrett Joyner, Brentwood volleyball MVP of the state tournament. Great player there. Jayla Grimes, Summit's first ever state championship wrestler. And then you've got Amber Tanner of Ravenwood, who has been injured quite a bit throughout her years of, there at Ravenwood. But if she stays healthy this year, you're looking at probably a state champion as well there. That also is a tough group.
Oh, without a doubt. And you can't go wrong with any of them. And this is why I wouldn't be good at betting. I'm an emotional guy. If you've ever watched the sport of wrestling, you know how tough it is. And then Jayla, obviously, female wrestling, girls wrestling has really taken off the past few years. And you want to talk about dominating the competition. It's not even fair when she goes on the mat. So I'm leaning towards Grimes, but you can't go wrong with any.
She's also a track and field
Great
star
track
as well.
athlete, yep.
Garrett Joyner, I think she signed with ETSU, if I'm not mistaken, going to ETSU to play volleyball. And then Amber Tanner, you were talking about multi-sport. The only multi-sport person up there is Jayla Grimes. But the other 2 are so dominant within their sport that it may outshine that. I don't know. That's an interesting category right there. I think.
Well, and then you go back to Joyner. It's kind of like we were talking about in the baseball part. She's the best player on obviously one of the best teams. So a lot that goes into it. I'm glad I don't have to vote on it.
Male athlete of the year: Tyrell Dotson, Centennial High School; Nate Johnson, Independence; Will Dalton, Summit; Grayson Murphy, Indy. Man, that's another tough category right there. But I'm going to tell you something right now. This may change your mind. I don't know who you've got up there. There's going to be a lot of sentimental picks, a little things that Texas A&M kind of, stands out. Grayson Murphy, single athlete, great single sport athlete, great basketball player. Will Dalton, single sport athlete, great, best on the team, in the best team. Nate Johnson, not only played on the best team, best player on the best team in football, but also has a shot of winning possibly the decathlon at the state championships this year in track and field.
Hard to argue with that. You asking me my pick?
Who's your pick?
Nate Johnson.
I'm going to make a prediction.
And I love Tyrell.
I do too. I love them all. I'm going to make a prediction that they're going to get up there, they're going to name it, and this time the trophy and the presentation will be
I forgot
right.
about that.
It will not be. I apologize, Nate Johnson. You did not win Mr. Football, but this will be Nate Johnson. You won the WILLCO Male Athlete of the Year. I think that, don't know that, but we'll see how it plays out with the voting and very deserving. So with all that being said, spring football. Let us know what's going on, Tate. We got spring football going on right now. A lot of teams playing in action. It's awful early. We got a lot of turnover in the coaching spots. Be interesting. Everybody wanting to get a first look at the new look Ravenwood Raptors under Richie Westman, the new look Centennial Cougars under Matt Kreisky. What have we got going on?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's we're right in the middle of spring right now, and scrimmage time, which I always love. It's fun, you know. It's a new season, a lot of enthusiasm that goes with it. So you're right. The Richie Westman era has begun at Ravenwood. They had a nice scrimmage Saturday against Walker Valley out of East Tennessee. So looked good offensively. They stayed in the spread offense. They're probably going to throw it a little bit more than they have in the past. I think there's two things that go with that. McCain Morrow has a chance. I would say that the leg up on being the starting quarterback. He threw a couple touchdowns, looked well. He's a young man who can throw the ball, and then obviously Coach Westman is a quarterback. So head coaches that are former quarterbacks usually like to throw the ball. But they did. They looked good. John Rawl, a couple of touchdown passes. Both of them were about 50, 60 yards. Carter Nelson ran the ball really well. So that's going to be fun. McCain Morrow, you know, you look at Ravenwood the past few years, it'll be the fourth year in a row you've got a brand new starting quarterback. But you look at the three before, man, you know, starting with Janikowski and then Cole Brown, obviously Rapay last year. So he's got big shoes to fill, but he's a talented young man. So it's going to be fun. Spread-O on offense, obviously throwing it a little bit more, but, you know, there was a lot of familiarity there. 4-3 on defense. You know, when you're putting in a new system, that's going to be a little bit tough. So I think they got some kinks to work out on that, but that's what spring football's for. Well,
you know, two schools of philosophy. You come in, obviously, what they did last year, unprecedented. So why do you try to reinvent the wheel sometimes? Do you? Do you not? Do you try to play off? Do you put your own stamp? There's a lot of mental games, philosophy games that have to be played at that, you know, in this juncture right now.
Well, you know, you were a basketball coach, and there were guys like that did it. You know, there's two schools of thought. We're going to do what I know. This is what we run, and we're going to do what we do, and then we're going to coach them up. And you know, where that makes sense is, you know, you get into games, you get into situations, things like that. If you know it, you can go back on it. Then there's the other school of thought of, hey, we're going to see who shows up, see our talent, and then we'll decide what we're going to run from there. But my guess would be that's what they know, the 4-3. And, you know, there's a lot, when you look at the pros and colleges, a lot of people run that. The problem is, in my opinion, you got a lot of tweeners in high school football. So, you know, it's hard to find 4 down linemen and then 3 backers too. So, but they'll be fine.
You've got to be careful. You've got to be careful in those scenarios, and I'll tell you why. First head coaching experience I had, I came in, we were running the UCLA high offense, okay? It's high post, bring them up, 1-4 high, and have, you know, you have from the free throw line extended down to work on back cuts, picks, whatever you may want to do.
You need to have a good point guard.
Okay. Well, you need to have a good point guard, but when you've got Trenton Hassel at that high post, everything seems to work really well. For those that don't know Trenton Hassel, 14-year career in the NBA, Austin Peay, guy I got to play with. So I'm thinking, taking this into the high school level, this is going to work. The 1-4 high offense, Kentucky ran the 1-4 with Tubby Smith. All right, this is going to work. There can't nobody stop us. 5-21. It worked really well. I never changed. You know, my school of thought was, they don't know what they're doing. I've got to get it across to them. But in actuality, the personnel just did not work for that.
Right.
So I went the whole year. Matter of fact, I went the next year about halfway through. Realized it took me a year and a half before I realized personnel makes the difference when making and choosing your offense, your defense, whatever the case may be.
Totally agree. Can't put a square peg in a round hole.
Absolutely not. And as a coach, sometimes you got to take a step back and think, okay, this is not working.
That's right.
You know, regardless of what you want to do, because you're always going to be biased towards the system that you bring into play. But then you have to go back to the drawing board. You have to make calls. You have to network. You have to talk to people. Say, all right, look, we've got this scenario. What's the best case for us? Study tape, study things, unroll it, and then it usually takes a year after you unroll it to even get it working. So I've gone down that rocky road. It's not fun. It'd be interesting to see how this Ravenwood situation plays out. What about Franklin Smyrna? I know that you have some Franklin Smyrna.
Yeah, really good scrimmage. If you go by that now again, it's in both sides can interpret it differently, but If you go by the score of the ones, Franklin held a 3-2 advantage. Smyrna's going to be a really good football team this year. Obviously, Rutherford County team. They've got one of the best running backs in the state, and Casey Perkins. He's a man. He runs the ball really hard. Both of them played pretty vanilla, but Franklin felt really good about the way they played. They moved the ball well. Now, obviously, we know about the two tackles, Caden Williams and Max Ray, and talking to Coach Webb, he was very pleased with the way they got after it. So, we talked about it last year. They've got most of their line back. I think they feel good about their quarterback situation. They just got to find a replacement for Landon Craddock. And the great thing about it is they've got till August to do it. But like we talked about, I think Franklin coming out of that scrimmage feels really good about the way they're going to be. They're going to be able to move the ball next year.
Well, you would think so. I mean, Max Ray out there, Alabama, right now the latest to offer him. Caden Williams right now has got tons of scholarships on the line. Eastern Kentucky being the last OVC level, I think that level that will be below his level before he's finished in his recruiting process.
He'll be one of those kids, the longer it goes on, the more and the bigger he'll get.
Well, it'd be obvious because everybody's going to come see the Max Ray kid trying to get a foot in the door, and they're going to see Williams, and he needs to play off that. That's fine. That's okay right. Because that's part of the deal, and it's going to get you more looks. Summit Centennial.
I think if you look at this from the Summit point of view, they could not have been more pleased. Michael Zakreski, quarterback, played very well. Touchdown pass. If you look at the ones.
A touchdown pass.
Touchdown pass. They're going to throw the ball more this year. And there's a lot that goes into that. They're still going to be in the wing tee. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be Jack Daniels and Billy Whittemore back there, but they're going to throw the ball. They're going to throw the ball more. Zakreski's going to be a senior. He's comfortable. They got 4 of their 5 offensive linemen back. The thing that's most exciting to me from the Summit point of view, about the second play of the game, Ty Carter rips one off about 60 yards, finishes that drive off with a touchdown. He's going to be a heck of a player. Same thing, though. You look at this thing, it's a process. They've got 4 of their 5 offensive linemen back for Summit. This is Coach Coleman's 3rd year of spring practice. They're not doing the installation thing. Now they're getting better. They know what they're going to be about. And I think it's going to be fun. You called it last year.
They're going to be there.
They're going to go to the playoffs.
Are they throwing vertically over the top, or we'll get 2 tights in there? I mean, because that lends itself to have the 2 tights and catch them off in the middle.
A little bit of both. Now, he's still under center. There's going to be a lot of rollouts.
So you're telling me that Coach Coleman's team is throwing passes over 10 yards?
That's right.
You better look out.
Not
because
a whole
if
lot
it can ever loosen up the edges and get Ty Carter in there, it's going to be a race.
And like we talked about, that's the he was just a sophomore last year. That's the great thing about having He's a guy who can break the long one for them, and they're still going to be ball control, but he's one. You got the secondary backing up now because there's a passing threat, misdirection, give Ty space, he can take it. So it's going to be fun. And it's Centennial, on the Centennial side, they had Riverdale earlier in the week, so that was their second scrimmage, and they had a lot of track guys missing. So
look out for Old Sparty. Going to be there next year. We're going to get 8 of 8 in. Soon after that, be 9 of 9. It'll be fun to watch. Next week, we'll talk a little bit more about spring football. Got plenty more action to talk about. This has been WCS Sports Connection. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Rain Again by Gail Bunton Haddock. It's green again now that the rain has come back. I've been out in it. My feet are wet and getting cold, but no matter. The land was parched, the leaves brittle dry with fire and ever-present threat. With the rain has come a hush. It has settled on the far hills and across the fields. We were ready for the relief of this rain. Sometimes slow and soft, sometimes hard and slanting on a rush of wind, and in a quietness that heals the brutality of a too long drought.